So let's add the player to this whole thing. So I'm gonna grab our player model. Where is he? Where is our little guy? There he is. And I'm gonna change this one to combat player. And we'll have to build an FSM and an animator for him. But we know, if we look at our combat gargoyle, we want health, and it's going to be essentially the same thing. We want the combat, and for the most part, it's going to be the same thing. There we go. Get rid of him. So our combat player, right, he needs is death, is hit. And we have this. Now, we're not going to do the automatic. We're going to have it selection. But for the rest of it, it's pretty much the same. So, one thing that we're going to need is on our combat gargoyles is we're going to need a collider so that we can interact with it in the ways of selecting them. So I'm just going to add a capsule collider. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Obviously down, sitting at his feet isn't very freaking useful for anybody. So let's go, that's not very big. That's probably good. The radius a little, there we go. Right, fairly big. I mean, it doesn't gotta go crazy, but I'm gonna put this guy on a layer, right? And that's going to be relatively important. Do you want to change shielder? No, just this object's fine. So he has a layer, and he's got a collider. The combat player, not so important. He has, I mean, it is, I guess, down the road. If we want to, use potions and stuff on ourselves, then it is important. Maybe his attack speed's faster, so he attacks a lot more, and maybe his health is like way higher. But combat-wise, if we want to select attack, we'd have essentially, how do we want to do this? Because we want to, let's prefab him for a minute. And let's go into our manager and change that over before we forget. Is our dummy player. I'm going to change the dummy player to our combat player for 1. We're going to save, and we're going to go into that little battle scene, as crappy as it looks. And I'm going to add a canvas. And I'm going to have it scale with screen size, and I'm going to add I don't know, a panel. I like panels. Who doesn't like panels? And I'm going to just bring this down, somewhere around there. Transparency up. And here, I think I am going to add, when we want to do this, we want to add some sort of a place where we can select our attacks. I'm not going to go as crazy with a big animated one, but I am going to add something at least here. Maybe something like that. And we can call this our our action list, and it's going to need buttons, right? We have buttons. So the action list itself, we're going to use a vertical layout group, and we're going to control the width of the children. So now if I duplicate it, right, we get that kind of effect. Yeah, you know, I think that's fine. The only thing is if we delete that, we get one big massive button, which might be fine. Yeah, you know what? I think that's fine. I mean, we're not going to go crazy with it anyways. So I'm just going to prefab that button. Get rid of that. And this spawn system, it needs a variable. We're going to call it the action list. And it's going to be this guy. That's it. And save. So the player, when it's his turn, we want, let's do this template wise. Let's say get FSM game object, and let's get the spawn system, the action list, which we can't use that reference, but we can use the global spawn system. And we know we have on the player, we can build a array. No. Let's do a hash table. Those are our actions, and it is going to be type string. So maybe for now we're just going to use 2. Actually, no, it's going to be type float. So we're going to have attack and I don't know, guard maybe. And we're going to give these are going to be the times it takes to wind it up. All right. So now that we have the action list, we can come out of here, go over here, and hash table get next. So we want to get through the actions, and we have a loop, and we have a done. We have the key. That's going to be the main thing. We don't actually even care about the type right now, but it is type float. So that part technically doesn't matter. We only care about the key at this stage in the game. We have a loop and a done. So in the loop, what are we going to do? Well, we need our button. And the button is our button. And we want to create object our button. The parent is the action list. Created button. Let's have an array so we can store this stuff at. The array can actually be an output. And we can array add. Created buttons add the current. Wait, no. No. Because that array isn't type float, it's type game object. So create, of course now it's being stupid. So array add, what? Oh, Jesus. Okay, it's an array of game objects. So the created buttons, now we can add the create a button. There we go. What's the other thing we want to do? We want to get child move to the bottom of the button, and it's going to have a child name text, and that's the button text. And then we want to UI text set text, move that right to the bottom of the button text. Now needs to be the key, and go over here and done. We can just finish this FSM. There we go. Now we can save that, and that is create actions. All right, so he can now be deleted. We can go into our combat. Actually, you know what? Let's apply all and just open this guy up. So now we go into the combat, and when we want select attack, run FSM, put them right to the top. We want to run, we want to create our actions, and our created buttons are supposed to be an output. So here is our created buttons. Now we don't need this, and we don't need that because we're not the AI. We can remove ourselves from the queue. That's fine, but we don't want done. All we want now is to sit here and wait for some kind of input, right? So for example, let's save that. Okay, where are we? We've selected attack. That's the action, that's the actual attack. What we need is I'm gonna have to change the name of that, because we have these events, right? So ultimately you need to have those events. Guard, right? We'd have guard and we'd have attack, because those are the possibilities we have. Now with that said, we can't have this one, right? But it needs to be that. So we need to have a attack action, or yeah, well, we'll deal with that in a second. We'll figure that out in a second. So if we get attack, if that's what we select, we need to set this guy. So set string. So our attack is going to be the attack action, and that can be what this is, right? And also over here, if we select guard, we need the guard action, and then we would need something over here for guard action. So once those are set, we would now need to adjust this, right? So this needs to be a delay of some type, because then we're going to want to go over here on both of these to tell the system we are done. So what is this value? Well, we know from here we're saying, okay, well, there's these two things, right? So let's just hash table get, and we need our actions. I mean, you could just type this in, and the key is going to be, well, it'd be the name of this event, but I'm just going to use attack type float, and that's going to be our delay. The nicer side of doing it with the hash table get compared to this is, now once this is closed, we can just adjust this. We don't have to worry about anything. And now we want the guard, right? So with that said, though, okay, so we're here now. We've created our buttons. We've removed ourselves from the queue list. But we haven't hit done yet. So the thing with that is that we're going to need a way to select what character we want, right? Because in here we have attack. So that's great, but what are we attacking, right? And if we go into a button, okay, we've got to come out of here for a minute. Let's go into our, oh, we're not in the right scene. Let's go out of, let's delete him. Let's open scene. Let's go back to our main scene. I'll show you what we need. So our manager, we have down here, this guy needs one more thing, because we need to know who's attacking, right? Actually, this is not him. I guess it's this guy, the Q, right? So the current, this current needs to be a output, because that will now allow us, here we see the current. So the unit making selection, well, that's what we'll call them, just like that. So if the button, we'll bring a button out here, we'll add an FSM. And in this FSM, what we're going to do is button click. If the button is clicked, we need to send an event. You know, we'll just call it go. Go do something. So we're going to go. So we've clicked the attack button. We now need to get FSM game object from the manager, the start combat, the unit making selection, who pressed this button, right? And that can be our global manager. There we go. And then now we need to get child of ourselves, because we're a button, and it's going to be our button text, and we need to send event by name. Move to the bottom to the who pressed this button, they have an FSM. Where is our combat player? Who's got this combat FSM, and the event we want to send is the button text. And then we can actually come back over here. Right? So let's add that, say apply. Now we come back over to the player. So in the player, so now when we click the button to attack, it sends this event right away. Right? So we know all this fun stuff is going to happen, but we don't know who we're attacking yet. So what we need to do now is select a unit. So this is where we're going to build another temporary one, and what we're going to do is input button. We want to input the fire, and if it's pressed, we have clicked, and if we've clicked, we now need to mouse pick. And we can, make whatever distance, but we're going to choose a layer. We're going to choose only our combat layer. And we're going to choose an object. Clicked on object. And then we're going to is null, because we want to make sure we've actually clicked on something. Move to the bottom. So is this thing null? If it's null, then let's just go right back here and wait for another click, so until it's not null. And if it's not null, then ultimately we can just finish this FSM. And we can have our clicked on object as an output. That's what we clicked on. The other thing we could do now is if we right click the mouse button, we can cancel. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Save template as select attack. Right, so now I can delete this, come over to combat, come into our actions, and go run FSM. Oh, put it in twice. And we can now select attack. And let's put this, no, it's fine there. And the clicked on object is going to be our target. And once that's finished, we can use that finished event. And then it goes over here. We add ourselves here. The action comes in. We do the attack. We have the target. And we come down here. Right, now the gargoyle attack, technically everything should be the same in reality. Obviously some difference on damages and so forth that doesn't even need to be into this state. But what we do need, I was just thinking about, I forget what I was thinking. So for now, let's see what happens. I was thinking there's something else that we need to do, and I'm forgetting what it is all of a sudden, so I'm sure we'll find it here pretty quickly. Right? Oh, the animator. That's what I was thinking. Right? So, okay, there's our, we can now do our two things. Those are super tiny. So that's obviously got to be fixed up, right? Because if I look at our canvas, and you can see, like, the gargoyles can't attack, right? Because it's turn-based, we're waiting for their turn. But his text is apparently button. His text is attack. Why that one's button, I don't know. But if we hit attack, and let's go over to our player. let's see. We've created our buttons. We've removed ourselves and we've selected attack. Nothing's happening. So let's go take a look at our buttons. Let's see what this guy's saying. And there we go. That was very silly of me now, wasn't it? In the button, for one, is we get the child of the button text and we send the button text. That's not right. Get text. Right, now that we have the text object here, what I'm supposed to do is the button text, now we get this, and this is the actual text. And now we can send event text. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is here we have our poor little player with no animator standing there with his thumb up his ass. Alright, so let's take a look at him. Alright, he's got nothing. So, and here's a trick. I'm going to show you a trick. So our combat gargoyle has this. Now, if you've never seen override controllers, I'm going to show you those. What is an override controller? And we'll say this is the combat player. And this is great if you have a lot of things that need different animations but is the same setup. And now I'm going to take the combat gargoyle, I'm going to drag it here. And now we have this is what they were, right, in the card, this guy, but the animations are blank. It's asking for more, right? So I can turn around now and say, okay, well, we have our idle, we have our run. What else do we have? Let's have let's have a combo, and we have a get hit, mid front, and we're going to have a death. There we go. So now to look in here, right? Crap, now where did I put all that? All right, let's go. Where's our project? So this guy has this. Now the combat player can have that. He also doesn't need root motion. Right, so let's add that, let's apply that. So this guy, if we look at the animator, it's all the same as what the gargoyles is, but it's not. Oh, okay, in this case it is. Did I select combat player? There we go. Did I give him the right one? Yeah, I did. Alright, well, you know what? It's going to work. It may not look like it, but it will, damn it. I'll show you. I'll show you. I'll show you all. Oh, here I am trying to click the mouse like it's point and click. Alright, so we come in. We touch him. We still got to figure out why that says guard on the one button. The buttons are still super small, but if I look at the player now, right, and we see over here, we're sitting here. If I hit attack, see, we got the attack. Now I can select a unit, right? I can say U. And we should have nothing. And let's see why. Combat AI. Oh, did I change these things yet? No, I did. I did. They're there. Okay. Then I would assume that, oh, my button's not working. Oh. that would be Y. And I think that is due. See, using the newer input system's a little different. Still getting used to that. Combat player. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's a player. Combat player. We should be adding the input system. The easy way to do that. So I'm just going to add input button, anything just to have this thing come up. So I just hit that. And now I can delete that. Dun, dun, dun. So the actions we want are normal actions. There we go. And we'll try that. The other thing I notice is the idle is isn't looping, so that needs to loop. So let's go over here, hit our attack, click on him. Same idea. Now there's that one difference, right? With the gargle, he's always wanting to face this way. Obviously, our player needs to not face that direction. And we also have this issue, and he's going here. So let's fix that up slightly. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Open a prefab. Go into Work Combat. And let's see. Okay, first of all, when we're here, when we go to the done, or if we had a cancel or something, let's make sure we're destroying objects. Because we've made, that's the whole point why we put it here, right? We have, over here, we've created our buttons. We need to make sure we destroy those buttons, right? Or else they'll just keep stacking up. So here we have, under the gargle attack, we have a target. And we're doing this type of stuff. Now all this has got to be kind of flipped. So I think the easiest way to do that is I'm going to copy the whole thing. And then I'm going to go to the player and I'm going to add another FSM. Open that up and paste it. Right? And this is going to be the new start state. And most of this is going to be the same, right? Except for this part here. Because we're running to, so their Y rotation, right? If they're facing right, then we want to go to their front. And if they're facing left, then we want to go to their back. So that part's flipped. The other thing we want, we have the moving. All that's the same. And I will point out that the animations played properly as the right animations. Is we want to, target Y. So we want to go -90. That's supposed to be that way on the AIs as well. So let's save. All right, so now, crap. Let's actually put that in. So we've selected the thing, we have the attack. Let's do, all right, we have this one. So we need to save this one as a template. We'll call it player attack. Now we can get rid of that. Go to Work Combat. Right, so now instead of gargle attack, let's use player attack. We're gonna have the same target, and that's all fine. There we go. That should be all we need to do to make that work. Right, we come along, we hit the guy, we come into here. Their buttons look shitty. We select the combat. See how they deleted this time? We go to the right spot, come back. Now we're not actually doing any damage. We have no health showing up, but for the main part, everything is working. Right? And if I wanted to select a different character, the whole rotation thing is kind of weird at the end. We should just take that part out, I guess. Is I can select a different guy, right? Like, it's not going to matter who I click on. He's going to just go to the right person and do his little combo and then run back. So there's that.